I liked Nika because he looks like a Maasai. Nika loved to travel, especially around what is now known as Africa. Unlike the other Kalanaka, Nika looked very much like a large and strong human. He was neither very handsome or ugly, but instead very intriguing, looking with hard and chiseled features. As he was quite humble and not concerned of what others thought of him, he dressed and carried himself very simply. Nika loved animals, and especially those found in Africa. One day, as he gazed at them out on the plains and marveled at their beauty, he decided to try something. He resolutely looked out onto the plain and found a herd of elephants. The lead bull of the elephants blasted out its ears and charged Nika. Anyone else would have run in fear of being trampled, but not Nika. He planted himself and stared at the elephant in the eye and used the power of his will to intend the elephant onto the ground in a submissive position. Nika then walked up to the elephant and spoke to it as he caressed it like a pet. He then went to a pride of lions and did the same thing. After the lions, he went to a herd of rhinos. Watching the whole time was a man of a great renown from a village that was not far away, responsible for mining gold for the star ancestors. When he saw what Nika did, the man was completely amazed. The man ran up to Nika, not knowing he was a Kalanaka, and said, wait here, wait here. I'm going to call the village so that they can see what you just did." The man was so excited, and he did not even notice that Nika hadn't responded to him as he ran off towards the village. When the man returned, the entire village was in tow. "Here he is," the man shouted. There was Nika, who was found, a beetle he had never seen before. Nika nonchalantly greeted the crowd and then went back to admiring the beetle. "Well," the man said, "we all have come to see you do your magic." Nika simply looked up and said, "I'm intrigued with this insect. Please leave me alone," and went to the plain with the beetle. Others began to laugh at the man and said he had just made it all up. Others shouted at him, saying, "How could he pull them away from work just to see a rude man looking at a beetle?" "No," the man retorted, "I swear I saw it." But the people chided him only more as Nika remained silent. Not far from where the village had gathered in a thicket was a herd of grazing water buffalo. Instead of lose face, the proud man said, "Fine, it can't be too hard. I will show you myself." What he did. He headed out in front of the herd of buffalo, who ignored the man. People watched in amazement as Nika was still completely fascinated by his beetle. The man, feeling emboldened, moved close and locked his stare even more intently with one of the water buffalo. Then, without warning, from the man's side came a giant water buffalo and trampled him. The man was still alive, and his sons and brothers went out to try to save him. Mayhem ensued, and many of them were trampled to death in a short amount of time. Nika quickly jumped into action and saved those he could have saved by scaring off the buffalo with his inhumanly loud voice. It was now that all realized that this Nika was not a man, but a Kalanaka. As the women wailed in mourning at watching their men being trampled, others berated Nika and vowed to report him to the council of the Kalanaka. There was a hearing at the council where many people blamed Nika for what had happened. After all, if he hadn't been there, or if he would just have obliged and given the example that he was requested to give, then none of this would have happened. The Kalanaka listened to person after person after person give their harrowing description as to what happened and became very angry with Nika. Nika was called to speak. What do you have to say for yourself? Nika replied, I never agreed or had the desire to give an example of my behavior that day. It was neither my decision to go and round up the village, nor was it my decision to have the man give an example of himself. Nor was it my decision for others to follow him. When I realized what was happening, I acted as quickly as I could to quell the situation. But the fact is that each made their own decision and each paid the consequences for that decision. The one thing I may have changed on my own behalf is that I could have been more aware that I was being watched, and by who. If I had known this, I may not have decided to do what I did, but I did not, and that is all I have to say. Everyone was in agreement. Self-sovereignty was the rule of the land. The whole case was dropped, and the villagers returned home to give the final rites to their death. What is the moral of the story?